What's going on?
What's going on?
I think we live. Oh, my feed just started over here. Oh man, no,
Yep,
my feed did not start. It cut off.
mine started.
Okay, we live.
We're live.
I know we got a couple people on here, so that's good.
Might just be me and you.
Oh. All right, all right. Uh-oh, I just turned on something here.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, even though I don't know what I'm doing here,
I was gonna say,
we are live with armadillo laying on the table.
and a woodchuck.
I would do that the rhyme, but I know I can't say it.
Oh, me
The
neither.
chucks in the woods. Anyway.
Anyway,
We're going to
Yeah.
talk about some random stuff tonight.
Yep.
Talk about scoring rings, shooting. We got a giveaway schemed up. We got Scott running the camera, even though y'all can't see him. He's back there,
Yep.
butt naked. But we been doing our thing.
Yep.
Luckily, we can. South Carolina, I don't know how it is where y'all are, but they said this week they did the whole essential business thing. But luckily, in our case, they listed about 20 businesses that had to close down. They didn't say everybody, but these they listed like it was like barbershops, tanning salons, tattoo parlors. I don't remember what all. Strip clubs,
Bowling alleys.
bowling alleys. So we're still open, thank goodness, and still doing our thing. So I think maybe some people are bored. We've had some people drop bows off and pick bows up, and too bad we can't really have a shoot because they've told us you don't really want more than about 3 people together.
Yeah.
And here in South Carolina, they closed the boat ramps so people couldn't fish, and then I think people threw so much of a fit. Now I think they're opening them during the week or something. I don't know, but every day it's like looking to see what's changed. But I went to the grocery store yesterday, and it really wasn't bad. Wasn't that many people there. They didn't have toilet paper, which I didn't need any, but everything else they were stocked up on. So hopefully y'all are staying germ free. I've got a finally somebody I know, which is not a good thing, but got the corona. But he said all he had was a fever for about a day and a half, and he had a headache one day. And of course, they sent him home to quarantine for 2 weeks and all that. But he's early 50s, so luckily for him, it wasn't bad. But he's the only person I actually know that like I can call on the phone and talk to that's had it. So I've been kind of waiting on that. It seems like it's spreading pretty fast, but I'll be glad when things get back to normal.
Me too.
I'm ready to shoot, and I'm ready to have normal shoots. And we got a video coming out Sunday. Man, last week was a mess. I had a nice Elite E35 video that we had filmed.
Mm-hmm.
I put the thing in the computer, and it said the files had corrupted. So I went through all kind of rigmarole trying to retrieve the files, and it retrieved like 2 of them. And so I ended up losing that footage. So I put together that little video about my 3D chair and what I keep in it and that type of thing, and that was fine. But this week we've got a when we shot the other week here at the shop, I did a little video or whatever, so it'll come out. It's kind of funny or neat or whatever. It's Scott that's running the camera. He's doing some dancing in it,
Yeah.
so that'll be cool. Maybe we'd give a shout out to his YouTube channel, but he won't tell us what it is.
Yep.
Maybe one day.
From fat to fit.
He said it's called From Fit to Fat, so we'll see. But anyway, we had some people wanting to talk about scoring rings on these animals.
Brian said you got the haircut just in time.
So let me tell you that story real quick. Melinda that cuts my hair, shout out to Melinda. The day they announced that the barbershops had to close or whatever, because they said they got to close tomorrow by 5. I was going to get a haircut that day, but I don't know, just in the middle of a bunch of stuff and didn't go. So I seen her post when I made my daily run to the post office with bowstrings. I seen her post, today's it, I'm closing in 30 minutes or whatever. She wasn't planning on opening it back up. And I was like, crap. So I'm already thinking, I hope TJ can cut hair because he's about to do something. But my hair wasn't that long yet, but I knew in a week or two. So anyway, when she found out she didn't have to close till 5 the next day, she put on there she was going to come in the next day. So I texted her and I was like, I am coming, or I'm coming to your house 1. So
I know one haircut style, and that's it.
I don't want to be bald.
That's all I know.
I'll look like a shaved sheep. But luckily, she told me, she's like, you could have came to the house and we could have done this incognito. And I was like, I don't want to get a haircut and feel like a drug deal's going down. But anyway, so yeah, right before the thing, I'm hoping in a month or whenever I need another haircut, 2 weeks or whatever, I know 3 weeks, maybe this stuff will be over. But I think we got a couple more weeks of this mess. So the scoring rings on these animals, we got out 2 little critters here just to show you some stuff. This little armadillo, yeah, you can see it good on there. It's got your typical ASA scoring rings. It's got the lower 12. Let me see if I can find it. That's what's in play. If somebody says you're shooting ASA scoring, the lower 12 is in play unless you call the upper 12. The lower 12 is always down toward the body. The upper 12 is opposite. The center ring is what you'd call like an IBO 11, or occasionally I've been to a shoot and they'll say score center 12 and you'll count that as a 12. But where some people's got confused is you don't just shoot at it, and if you hit any of those 3 little rings, you call it a 12. That ain't the way it works. So if it's ASA scoring rings, you shoot at the bottom one, unless you, before you shoot, say I'm shooting at the top. And usually when that happens, say TJ and Scott have shot and they're both in that bottom little 12 ring, and I'm thinking, well, I'm probably not going to get in there because both their arrows are in there. Then I'd call the upper 12 and say, all right, shooting for the upper, and then if I hit the lower, it don't count. It counts as a 10. But this target don't even have an 8 ring on it, does it?
No, it don't. It's weird.
Kind of freaked me out. TJ's target is a little bit different.
Little woodchuck.
It's got the center 12.
So pretty much it goes 12 would be this little center ring. The outside of it is 10, and then 8 is the bigger ring, and then just hitting the body is a 5. So I guess you would call this a more, what would you say? This would be more IBO.
Yeah.
An IBO setup with the center 12, which I think what they call it, center 11. I'm not up to date on IBO stuff.
We don't really do IBO stuff around here. Oh, we lost our feed.
Nope, wait a minute.
We're back. Our feed cut off and came back.
That's weird.
That is weird. About this time, every show we do, it'll cut off and we have to turn it back on, but that one fired back up.
Yeah.
And I was just about to say, Brian, you've been out shooting the turkeys. I'd like to go shoot the turkeys, but I'm stuck in the shop with this armadillo. I need to get in turkey hunting mode.
What you talking about? We in the shop with a bunch of turkeys anyway. So
I'd love to have a deep fried turkey right now. Man, Scott's been turkey hunting, even though y'all can't see him behind the camera. He did not take down a thunder chicken. But anyway,
No.
if you're not in South Carolina and you're watching, our turkey season is open. And Scott said he went this morning and it was packed. I guess everybody's at home, ain't got nothing to do, but we can still turkey hunt as of right now.
a little bit weird on how they did the season this year and the way they did the tags. So I hadn't turkey hunted in probably 5-6 years now.
I like to turkey hunt, but I've about ran out of places to go unless it's public land, and I don't want to get shot. No, I mean, I probably wouldn't get shot, but you know how it is. But I would like to get in turkey. It probably won't be this year because of all this crap going on, but I'd love to get into full-blown turkey hunting mode. I got a couple different blinds to use. And
he said Brian killed his on public.
Jack Wallace killed one as well.
Yeah, Jack Wallace killed one I seen on Facebook. So they're moving, I reckon. I think it's been a couple weeks when I seen some out in the field down here. Might just sneak down there and blast this one. But anyway, so that's the scoring ring. These are little targets, but they're the same on big ones. Usually the 8 rings like the lung area, and then the 10 ring is this same size, and then the 12 rings are kind of set up like that. But just something to talk about in the middle of us talking to y'all. Let me move this out of the way. What else has crazy happened?
We got a question in from Scott.
We got a question.
He says, does anyone make foam targets with a replaceable core in the kill zone, not for the scoring rings like those for 3D.
They do. I think McKenzie makes one called the is it the broadhead buck? Something of that effect.
I think it is. And then, you know, your Glendales, they don't have scoring rings, but it has like the lungs, heart, and liver on it, on those, and it's got the replaceable core in it. So
That's true. The cool thing about the Glendale, I really don't like the Glendale buck. We got one out there, had one, it fell apart. But it's got like a block in the middle of it. So it ain't like you got two sides. You can actually take the top off and turn that block any which way. But ours got shot up mighty quick. So after that, I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. I got one at the house that I've shot now for probably 5-6 years, but I don't shoot every day. But I think I'm on the last section I can shoot, and I'm gonna be needing to replace mine.
Yeah. It seems like as far as price point, the cheapest 3D targets I've seen is about $80, and that's just your run of the mill, you know, whatever.
I think, what is it? The one everybody, the shooter buck, I think it is. I think it's $100.
And then you can get up a little over $100. And then if you go like real deal good, like Reinhardt is what I'd buy if I was gonna spend the money, but you go looking at $200 to $300. But the difference is that Reinhardt will last a lot longer, and it's got the replaceable core, which the cheap one does too. They just don't last that long.
Yeah.
But the Reinhardt's almost like a rubbery foam. It self-heals a lot better. They just, I don't know, the sun don't seem to damage them as much. So
Oh, we're off again.
I don't know why our feed keeps dropping. But we're back. How weird. I don't know what it's probably just pausing on their end.
It might be.
It keeps dropping. But anyway, so yeah, if you got the money, look at the Reinhardt stuff.
Yep.
If it was me, I wouldn't even go in the middle. I'd either go full blown Reinhardt or cheap as I could get, the $80 deal. And I know the shooter buck and the shooter pig, we've bought them, and it's almost like they're made out of a compressed paper material.
Yeah.
And they'll work for like a season in the yard, but man, them things get shot up quick. So I don't know. As far as a broadhead target, the best thing I've ever rigged up was one time I built this sand trap, and pretty much I already had a hill, dumped a bunch of sand on it, like there ain't no telling how much sand, a truckload of sand on it, ran 2 cables across to where it would hold a paper target, but it's still there to this day at the old shop, but you could shoot into it. The sand ain't gonna, of course, wear out. It will dull your blades, but I mean, you shoot it once or twice, it ain't that big a deal. And that way you're not wearing your target out. And I could back up as far as I wanted and whatever, but as far as a foam target, I think those doohickey targets, what are they called that we got out there?
The Titan.
Titan, that's it.
Yeah, Big Shot
Big
Titan.
Shot, yeah, Big Shot's what I was looking for. They're good. The blocks have been around forever, but the blocks have got layered foam.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's slicing and slicing, a couple slices and chunks of foam are coming out. So I remember I bought one back in the day and was all happy, and then all of a sudden I had a huge hole in the middle of it, and I was like, this sucks. Field tips, it was fine.
Yep.
But anyway. So we're going to do a giveaway. It's not a big one, but it'll be on our live feed next Thursday at 6:30. We're going to choose 2 people. We have some nose jammer stuff that they gave us to give away, so this will be cool. It's shampoo and body wash. Like I say, not a huge deal, but we're going to do it live on our feed next week. We'll choose 2 people and stick it in the mail, and I'll tape up the top real good so it don't spill out or whatever. But I'm just reading on it. Anything fancy I need to tell you? I don't think so. But it's made by Nose Jammer, and we will be giving that away next week. So get on here. We'll probably do numbers like we've done it and just draw 2 while everybody's on here.
Yep.
So that'll be cool. We got some bigger stuff we're gonna give away soon, but we'll probably announce it on a podcast and do the whole number thing like we've done. That'll be in 2 or 3 weeks. But for next week, we're giving this away. I can even come up with a few more of them, and just draw a bunch of numbers and give it away. So that'll be cool. next week on the live feed. Other than that, it's been kind of dead. I mean, as far as like, we don't have any crazy stories of people blowing bows up or arrows going into their arm or, oh, we're buffering again.
At least it's buffering instead of cutting completely off.
Yeah, it's back. It's back. It did it again on us. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we hadn't had any bow explosions or anything crazy happen. So I wish I had a good story to tell. We could probably think back on a story.
Oh, probably could.
Have we told the story about the arrow going into the guy's arm at Bucks and Bass?
Grundan 69. Have y'all heard anything about TAC? Curious if they are going to shut it down or have it. They posted on their Facebook page
A while ago.
Yeah, about an hour ago, saying that they were going to be sending out, there was going to be changes to San Antonio and a couple more, but they said that they were going to send out emails. So I'm figuring that's for people, you know, if you've already registered, which we haven't registered yet. So we probably won't get that email. But as far as I know, unless they send out that email and say they're canceling, as far as I know on their Facebook page, they're still a go. Which I hope they don't shut them down, because I really look forward to that shoot every year now.
I think they may bump the date. I'm just speculating. I think they'll bump the date back, but I just checked my email to make sure I hadn't got one. I hadn't got anything yet.
Well, we hadn't registered either, so that may be what it is, the people who are already registered.
Could be. There's so much stuff is canceled and I know everybody's pretty much shut down until
end of April.
So, and that's close, you know, not far past that. So I don't know. I hope they don't. I'd rather it be when it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's going to be warm if they bump it much further, but we'll see what happens. I don't know of any shoots currently scheduled other than TAC before about what, June or July. Everything's been bumped.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. That sucks big time. The story I was going to bring up was the arrow in the arm back in the day.
Oh, God.
A guy, I wasn't even there. I just got the call and was like, get your ass up here. A guy had an arrow explode and it went in his arm.
Yeah. It was, you know, normally I don't get too squeamish at the sight of blood, anything like that, but was back there a guy, he come in, bought a new bow, and his arrows were, you know, they were in the spine and everything, weight, everything was perfect for the draw length, and his arrow length and his draw weight on his bow, but we was back there shooting and he had one arrow that kept flying left, and I almost just pulled it and said, here, I'm gonna put this one in my pocket. But he was getting ready to leave the next day to go to Ohio on a hunt. And he grabbed that arrow that had been shooting left, and all of a sudden it sounded like a 30-06 going off, and all I could hear was glass shattering where it shattered the fluorescent lights downrange, and I dove in behind the Hooter shooter we had. And so I got up and I asked him, I said, you all right? And he's like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know what happened, dude. You tell me. And all of a sudden he just turns about as white as a piece of paper and said, I'm not all right. And he had about that much of an arrow shaft stuck in his wrist right here on his where he's holding the bow. And so, you know, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen it happen. So I'm like, okay, so
it was like on Talladega Night. TJ was like, I'm gonna stick my knife in there.
Nah, so we had a guy that worked there, Jim. He was in the gun department that night. So he comes over and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, he's got an arrow stuck in his arm. He's like, oh crap. So
we gotta get that arrow out of his arm.
So as everybody knows, carbon is poisonous to, I guess, us. I mean, but so I don't think it shattered in his arm. I think it's just that shaft got. So I remember the owner's son come and picked him up. They called the damn ambulance. Damn sheriff's deputies rolled up and everything. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? I'm like,
I just remember somebody called me and I took off and I was like, what in the hell? I pulled up and it looked like damn World War II had happened in there. I was like, oh, this ain't good.
So, but that night, I kind of got a little not so easy feeling in the old stomach at night.
I was like, TJ, you've gutted deer. And he was like, this is a human being.
It was.
And then we had another guy, that joker went back, was going to buy a bow, went back there in the range, and somebody had left their arrows in there. And he grabbed one of them arrows thinking it was his and snatched that thing back with a whisker biscuit. And it flipped down on that hand right there, and he, boom, and it had feathers on it. And it went in about right there, and it came out the tip of his thumb. And it like a blood trail going to the target. That joker coming there the next day, he done went to the hospital. I mean, his thumb area was huge, and he bought the bow. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He said, I really like the way it shot.
I don't know, man, but like I said, I can normally handle blood or anything like that pretty good, but for some reason that night, I kind of, like I said, the old TK Mike, the night's the easy feeling in the morning.
How'd that guy's hunt in Ohio go?
He ended up staying in camping, cooking. He did go to Ohio, but I remember the boss man, he come in the next morning and he's like, well, tell me what happened. I'm like, well, here's what happened. He's like, well, I'll just get the push broom and sweep the glass up and put some new lights up. You're good. I'm like, well, you know, what else is going to happen out of all this? But as far as I know, nothing ever come about it. And I guess that guy's still.
My guy's dead. Not from the arrow, but
Really?
Yeah, he's dead.
As far as I know, that guy, he bought the bow. He just couldn't use it for his Ohio hunt. But I mean, I checked the bow over and everything. It was still good. But
I had a guy come in to my old shop and an Easton aluminum arrow, and I'd never heard of this. I mean, I've read about it, but an Easton aluminum arrow had somehow shattered and went in his arm. And I guess he said Easton covered the, I guess, doctor's bills and then sent him a bunch of arrows and all this. And I had another guy come in with an alpine bow and the riser had broke in half. And he had this huge, you could see where he had to have like a bunch of stitches like right here. And at the time I was an alpine dealer, and he said, they told me to come to you to get this new one set up. And I was thinking, oh Lord, you know, this is a mess. But anyway, I set it up, and he didn't have no hard feelings. They paid for all his stuff and sent him a new bow, and I think pretty much said, from now on you call us and we will hook you up. But I guess stuff just happens.
it really does. I mean, and the bad thing about it was that guy that night, I checked all his arrows before, and he had not slapped that arrow the whole time we were sighting him in or anything. It just kept shooting left. But his other 4 arrows he was shooting, I mean, were hitting the mark, and that just that one arrow. And I'm like, you know, I probably ought to pull that arrow, and I didn't. And he grabbed it, and
You about killed him.
Like I said, I just know that I replaced, I think, was 10 8-foot fluorescent light bulbs in the range at next morning.
It was always a good feeling to hear that glass shatter.
Oh man!
The first time I ever seen something like that happen was up at Kiwi Bowman. A guy named John, he was a Clemson student at the time, and it was like slow motion. He was drawing and fired off that bow, and that arrow went up, and it was like it hit the ceiling and like leveled off, and it just went down through there in slow motion, and it was just raining glass. And I thought, man, and it just so happens, he was going to Clemson taking engineering, and I got an uncle that's an engineering professor up there, and I told him about it, and he made him a light bulb trophy and presented it to him in the class in front of like 100 people, and he got a kick out of it, but I think it embarrassed him at the time. He's like, he didn't know we were related, you know.
Yeah. Well, I also had another buddy of ours do the same thing up there one day. We was all up there shooting.
That joker turned red.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've seen some glass get shot. It looks like some of the neatest setups I've seen in shops recently that have indoor ranges is they have like a baffle of a thing, like at an angle to where if you shoot, it's going to catch the arrow before it can go any further or hurt or bust out a light or whatever. But
which is smart.
Yeah.
Because, you know, most everybody's running LEDs now, and they're.
I wonder if anybody's ever busted one out in like Vegas.
Oh, man.
I guess you'd have to really be sky drawing. But
what about Chance the other year at Lancaster shot it up in the roof?
Yep.
What was it? His release misfired or something?
Like
I can't remember, but it was weird. And I was like, something had to go wrong because, you know, you watch Vegas and Lancaster and everything, and Chance is a good shooter and everything. And for something like that, it's just like,
Well, remember like 2 years ago, old Jeff Hopkins down at Augusta, I don't remember what he did, but he shot one out in the lake on the shoot off. I don't remember if his release went off. I think it was his release.
I think it was too.
Because he was one of the top 5, and he launched that thing out there in the middle of the lake. And I thought, my Lord.
Yeah, what we're trying to say is anything can happen. Like Tim Gillingham dry firing the Bowtech at the ATA show.
That's a good one to look up. That joker's doing an interview at the ATA show, and Jim, what's his name? Burnsworth or whatever.
I can't remember.
He's drawing his bow back and right in the middle of everybody.
Yeah.
Sound like a bomb went off.
So it happens to the best of archers, and it, like I said, anything can happen. So
yeah, good times.
Yep.
Well, not really. Anyway, if you got any ideas or any questions for our podcast, put them on here. Put them on anywhere on YouTube. We'll see them. You can email them. TJ's got his fancy email address.
Yeah, TJ@archeryshack.com.
You can text them in to 843-560-9898. Let us know what questions you have or what we can talk about on our podcast that we do. It comes out on Tuesdays. If you're a new person watching, we do 3 videos a week usually. We got a podcast that comes out Tuesday morning. We do our live Thursday night thing at 6:30, and then on Sunday night a random video comes out. Sometimes it's a bow review, sometimes it's us shooting, whatever. Sometimes it's a bow tune, it's whatever. So we try to keep some stuff coming just for the fun of it.
And we have to be careful because we can't really talk about the virus because our podcast got took down because of it.
We, I guess, mentioned that word too many times, and when the podcast went up Tuesday morning, it sent me a notification and was like, your video's been flagged for, I forget how it worded it, and I had to go in there and appeal it, which it didn't take that long. I think it was back up within the hour, but I had to go back in there and appeal the thing and pretty much tell them we didn't say nothing bad. We just mentioned it a few times or whatever. Mm-hmm. And some other people I watch on YouTube said, I guess they had the same thing happen and said, YouTube's thing did tell me when they emailed me that a lot of the robots are watching it or whatever. They said a lot of their human people are not at work right now, so there could be errors or whatever, but I just thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Mentioned the C word, the beer name.
Let's see. Can you talk about lenses for sights for 3D purposes? Rundown 69.
Let's talk about power first.
Yeah. Biggest thing is,
first of all, let's just get the white elephant out of the room. Scott back here shooting a 14 power lens. That's unheard of. I've never heard of it.
Me neither. I've heard of 10, but that's about as high as I've heard.
I mean, he's one of them weird fellas that don't wear underwear and that type of thing. So, I mean, it's expected from him. But anyway, normal people are going to shoot probably a 2.4 or 6 power, with 4 being the most common for 3D, I would say.
I run 6. Now, you have to be careful when you start. If you're using the same bow for hunting, you really don't want to go over a 4 power. A 2 or a 4 is perfect because I ran a 6 in my hunting rig last year, and let's just say if you get something within about 15 yards, you really can't make out. It's just blowed up so much in your scope. So I'd say as far as hunting, 2 to 4, and then tournament 4, on 3D rig, 4 to 6.
To me, 4 is just a good round number because I've shot 2 before and it wasn't enough to really tell. I still have a 6 I play with. 4 is what I always end up going back to. And then we can talk about the actual size of the scope. Most of the time, it seems like indoor people want a smaller scope because you don't want to see all that mess. And then a 3D guy usually wants a big, like we shoot those 41 millimeter Excel scopes, me and TJ both right now. It's a bigger scope for 3D. That way we can kind of see everything. But and then pin size, I like the smaller the better, but I think when you both did this, I went into the 10,000th pin in that Excel scope, and I could, even with the light, I couldn't see it. So I went back to a 19.
Before I run the light, I had just a green fiber on the 10,000, and if you got out where there was a little bit of sun or something, it would blur that 10,000th out on me.
Yeah.
So I went back to the 19.
And then as a clarifier necessary for 4-power scope, I shot for years without the clarifier with my 4-power. Finally, they got a recommended chart of what to use or whatever. So my problem that I don't like about the clarifier is if I put the clarifier in and make the target crystal clear, then I have trouble seeing my pin. So I wanted to be somewhere in the middle. So I just put like a 1/2-power clarifier in, which is a lot lower than what they recommend. But I'm happy because I can still see everything, and it cleared up the target a little bit. But I think you can put with that yellow in a 4-power, you can put the yellow clarifier in, and that target will be crystal clear. But for me, even when I turned the light on or whatever on my fiber optic, it was like my pen was so blurry. Like I focus on the target, but I'm like almost having to try to focus on the pen because I can't hardly see it. So I ended up with that. I can't remember what color it is, but it's like a 1/2-power. And then, like I say, for years I didn't even shoot a clarifier. The target was a little bit blurry. I dealt with it.
And I guess it's just everybody's different. I shoot with glasses, and like on my hunting bow, I run a 2-power, but I had to actually take my clarifier out on certain sites that the lens sits in front of the pin. I had to take my clarifier out because it starbursted my pin so bad. So, and then once I did that, my target and pin was crystal clear. So you just have to kind of play with it and see what works best for you.
I need to get, Specialty makes a little checker device, and I've been meaning to get it in here. And you can hold them all up. It's all in this little thing you hold. I need to get that in here because that way you can kind of almost know before you buy it what you need exactly.
Well, the good thing with their podium peep and their PXL peeps now, at least the clarifiers or the little lenses that go in there, at least they're not as expensive as the older peep. What was it, Super Peep? I think it was.
Where you had to buy
You had to buy the peep housing, and then you had to buy a clarifier or verifier, whichever one you used. And if that didn't work, well, then you blame clarifier was just about as much as the peep sight was, the peep housing. So
now they got it to where you buy the peep, but then you can buy the aperture, whatever size, and screw in or out for fairly inexpensive, and then you can buy the lens that goes in it. It's not like you got to buy that size and that size only. You can switch it around. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I guess we'll get off here and leave y'all alone for the night. But like I say, next week we're going to be giving this stuff away, this nose jammer stuff, on the live feed. And shoot us some questions for the podcast. And we'll have our shoot video coming out Sunday. And I think there's a couple bows here to tune. I'll probably try to video one of those for the next week. And then we'll go from there. So hopefully everybody's happy and healthy and safe and that sort of stuff. And y'all be careful, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all.
See ya.